It's more peace, more love, more light. The amethyst, the rose quartz, the fluorite, crystal vision, intuition, foresight. Even my lucid dreams started getting more bright. Now I waste more days and I live for more nights. I get high all life.
Pull up the tune, pull up the tune, pull up the tune. Selector. Oh my gosh, all I want is good energy. You have good energy?
That's right, that's right.
We need good energy in the place on the Saturday afternoon. Listen, some of you are going to be listening to us on a Sunday, but that's okay. This is the Positive First show, always giving you more, sending you positive vibes to change your lives. I'm your host, Kimone Hall.
And I'm your co-host, Tina Colette.
Tina Colette in the building, y'all.
I don't need no negativity around me. High frequency.
High frequency.
Talking high G-O-D. Yeah. Good energy. I don't need no negativity around me. High frequency. I'm talking high G-O-D.
Put on the dance, no? Jesus. Hey. Today we're going to be talking about value. How do you add value to others? All right.
The rose quartz, the fluorite, crystal vision, intuition, foresight. Even my lucid dreams started getting more bright.
Tina, how are you?
I am doing well. I can't complain. It's been a wonderful week. It's my birthday week, so it was really exciting. Lots of good things this week. So I had a good week. How was yours?
Oh my gosh, turn up. Like, I am all about birthdays, and we haven't gotten a chance to do anything yet.
Not yet.
But the word is YET. All right, so we're gonna talk. We're gonna see how long you're gonna be here. Because she is visiting us from the beautiful, beautiful state of
New York.
Yes. I actually get to have her in studio with me, sitting side by side. Usually, when she is on, she is streaming from elsewhere, and I'm so glad and grateful that you are here. Right. Thank you for being here with us today. Yes.
It's a pleasure to be here in studio for the first time, live in studio.
Big up yourself, cousin. Oh my gosh. Listen. Tina is no stranger to us. We know that she is, you're kind of like a co-host, but you run away. And then like, I'm putting it all on her in front of camera, in front of everybody. And then she come back and talk, I'm going to be on the show today.
Yes.
Can I be on the show today?
Yes,
are you for real? Of course, yes. The answer is always yes. And whenever you are on, we are grateful that you can come on. Yo, Tina is big time, y'all. Y'all know that she is.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Listen. She is somebody that I look up to. And you're not that much older than I am.
Let's not even go.
You're not that much older than I am. Like, you're really not. But you know, hey. But I remember when I first met you. And this is not even in the script. We don't script anything, guys.
No.
I remember when I first met you, I was in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know.
Somewhere
around there.
Somewhere there.
And you were there. And all I can remember is, and every time I think about you, my recollection goes to when you visited and you were just so tall and you were just so nice. I was like, oh my God, that's my cousin. Yeah. Because I grew up with cousins.
Yes.
But when I first met you, it was just nice to actually, meet other cousins.
Yes, it was definitely good because, the family is very large and really spread out, all over the place. I think we have cousins probably on many different countries, like my mother's family my mother's, immediate family, 10 siblings of them, and then they have their cousins who were also large families. Mm-hmm. So we have lots of cousins and extended family members who are all over the place. So it's always good to meet and to know your cousins. I even went to a function this past Father's Day and met one of my cousins who I had not met before. So, we have cousins all over. It's good to meet your family and to know your family members.
Wow, I'm going to know half of them.
No, we do not.
Yeah. We always open up with prayer. So please do.
I will do the honors. Let us pray. Father God, we invite your continued presence with us even now. And as we're about to go in, we're asking you, oh God, that you will lead and direct our thoughts, our words, and whatever we do here. And may your name be glorified and your name be praised, because we ask it all in Jesus' name.
Amen. All right, so we're going to be talking about how do you add value. So we can look at it from a perspective of business, career, even mentorship, however we want to look at it. Let us look at it from an avenue that we're quite familiar with, even with our occupation. So I'm an educator,
Yes.
and with me, I am able to do something a little bit different this year that I actually really love. So I've kind of stepped out of the classroom this year and I'm
Okay.
doing in school suspension, which
Oh.
is ISS. So
Okay.
we've actually shifted the word from ISS to
Uh-huh.
Student Support Center.
Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
now it's Student Support Center. So now
Yes.
we're supporting the students and having them, zone in on their behavior.
Uh-huh.
We're focusing on the doer, not the deed.
Okay.
Right?
All
We're
right.
focusing, so we focus on them and not what they've done. We look at them for who they are and look at what they've done as something that an activity or an event that they were a part of, and
Yes.
it's not necessarily them. And we're trying to get them to change their thoughts, their frame of mind,
Yes.
so that they can be who they really should be.
That's interesting. That's such an interesting concept. So it's no longer like it's no longer being viewed then as punishment. It's more of support, trying to help them to change their behavior, recognize what they may have done,
Yeah.
and also to do better next time. It's a very interesting concept. And you know what that brought to mind? That brought to mind a statement I heard from the gentleman who wrote that book, Just Mercy. I don't remember his name, but you know that movie Just Mercy that Jamie Foxx starred. It was a very big movie. It's a very big book. He's a very well-known attorney, the guy who wrote this book. And I saw an interview with him when he was talking with Oprah, and he said the concept of like restorative justice, is that you are more than the worst thing you have ever done.
That's right.
So that's
That's right.
what that brought to my mind just now when, as you said, now it's called supporting, the students and looking at the person and supporting the person versus looking and focusing on the deed or what they did. And that's interesting. I'm not sure if, well, I guess you have to wait to see how this all works out. But I think that there's also a place for people to understand that there are consequences for their actions as well.
Yeah.
So even though you want to support the person, you want to make sure they understand that there are consequences. So the whatever was done will not be repeated, essentially.
Absolutely. So the consequence is that you're in that spot with me. You're in this room with me.
Well, you're being supported. You're not being disciplined or anything. You're being supported.
Well,
so you have to be careful about how you word that, essentially.
Right. They're being supported in there, but they're no longer with the general population per se.
Yeah,
they're in a room with me all day for 8 hours, and they I don't even allow them to go out for lunch. Lunch is brought into that.
Oh, okay.
So we have a strict. So I have a strict, like very strict schedule for them. Right. So work is brought into that. Right. And they're sitting there. They can't talk. They can't. It's restorative. It's where they're there. They're reflective on their behavior, and then we have a time where we can sit down and talk. So, and it has been wonderful. In the past years, even last year, students wanted to be in that room because of whatever they wanted to do, play with their phones and do it. None of that.
Okay.
But they still feel that sense of belonging and a part of because they're being taught.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. And it works. I
have a concept. I do like it.
It's a beautiful concept. And we've seen a decrease in behaviors.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I can't wait to see how it really pans out as we go.
Yes. So hold on to all that data so you can see, what it shows at the end. Because at the end of the day, you want to see the results, right? Even though it might sound good, it might look good, it might feel good, you want to see what the real results are.
Right. The data will show for itself. Can't, hands down.
Right.
And so that's adding value to the students. That's my part. I'm restorative. I'm talking to them. And that's when I first got into, being career minded. I used to, at one point when I worked in New York, I used to work with adults, and these adults were in a facility where they reside, and they go in and out for work, and I would counsel them. It was a form of social work, case management, and I would be so in tune with them, and very, very attuned and very supportive, very empathetic. And I remember talking to one of the residents there, and he was 21. He was at that age, and he was Hispanic, really nice guy, but he was into drugs, right? He was using and he was selling, and he was at the point where he was suicidal. And it was just like, I can't do this anymore. I want to be good. I want to change. And he put out so much effort to do that, but he still committed suicide. So I said to myself, I would always now get to the youth, so that they can. I can't save the world, but I can definitely give them another option. And I'm doing that,
Right.
with the students that are labeled, the bad kids or the high flyers. Those are the kids that I love to talk to and reach, so that even if they make the bad decisions, they're cognizant of the decisions they're making.
Very good, very good. And I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and we're talking about the importance and the role of a good teacher, and how much having a good teacher can actually change the trajectory of someone's life.
Yeah.
Because you have some teachers who they inspire. They don't just teach, they inspire.
Yeah.
And they can literally cause, like light bulbs to go off in people's head. They can cause you to just open up the avenues and the doors to so many more things, right?
Right,
So much more.
Right.
So teachers are very important in terms of impacting and changing, and making meaningful change in the lives of their students. So that's a very, a very, very important career path. And I feel like if you choose, or if teaching chose you, then right, and you're gonna go into that field, and you have a love for children, that you will be able to impart something, to them that will make a big difference in their lives and in their future.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the gist of what I do.
Yes.
And your occupation, you're definitely helping to add value to your clients as well.
Well, when you told me, when we discussed the topic, I was thinking about it for a little while, and I said, you know what? Honestly speaking, I think when I think about adding value, I think that people are born, with the innate value, right? Because the scripture tells us that we were created a little bit lower than the angels, and we know what angels can do. We have one angel who destroyed an entire army. We have one angel who destroyed the firstborn of Egypt. We know what one angel can do. So for me, we are born intrinsically with great value, because we were created by God in his image. And I think a part of my role is to not necessarily add value, but to have people understand their value and understand, how much and what they are worth.
That's adding value.
No, that's having them understand what they already have.
But
I'm not adding. I'm just helping them to understand the value that's already within them.
Right. So you're doing that by encouraging, supporting their self-esteem. You're encouraging all the different things around them. Yes, they already have the high value within inside.
Yes.
But your extra encouragement, your extra feedback, your being objective to what they're doing is adding value to them. Because without what you're saying, think about it. Without what you are doing or saying, they would still be there in their box wondering if they're doing the right thing. So that's still adding value.
In terms of my career, in terms of what I do, basically what I try to do, then I should say, right? I work in the medical field, but I'm more, mentally I'm more geared towards preventative medicine than taking care of an actual condition. Because I feel like most illnesses for me are lifestyle driven. So therefore, if I can encourage certain lifestyle modifications, right, then I know it will help people's health overall and decrease the chances or the likelihood that they're going to have chronic illnesses over the long term. So for me, it's about encouraging people to do what is best for their bodies, right? What is best for their health. And in that case, I guess you can consider to be adding value. But in my case, I think that that's helping people to understand their innate value, meaning that you are valuable, your health is valuable, and as so you should try to take care of your health, meaning that you should do the things that are going to help you, meaning you should exercise, get some rest, try to reduce stress, try to eat right, all of those things that are going to help you to maintain, I should say, or understand or be able to uncover the value of your own health and your own life and, your overall self.
So you're not gonna accept. With all that being said, you're not going to accept that you're still adding value, because if they don't come to you for all of what you're saying, what will happen to them?
Well, you know what? If you, Kimone, if you insist,
I'm just saying, what would happen to them?
well, I think that people will be able to live healthy. I believe in people living healthier lives because I do believe that health is wealth, right? Because even if you have all the money in the world and you're sick, you can't even spend it. You can't enjoy it. You can't go about, your daily. So the most important thing to have is your health. So I'm very big on that. So I think it's important for people to understand, like I said, how much of illness, especially here in the West, in the Western countries in America and the Western Hemisphere, how much of our illnesses are lifestyle driven. So my job is always to educate and to encourage people to do those things which are gonna be positively impactful on their health.
Mm.
And maybe in that case, you're saying I'm adding
Hence,
value.
encouraging is adding value.
Yeah, I would say so.
Now that we've covered that part, yes, you are, dear.
Yes.
You definitely are, and kudos to you on that. And as I guess it's a part of you being humble and your humility that will probably take you out of that scope to look at it as, hey, I'm just doing it. And I could look at it that way too and say, hey, I'm just teaching. But I know that it's more than that.
No, you're not just teaching.
Yeah.
As I'm saying, good teachers make a world of difference in terms of the outcome of the student. I can think of two teachers in particular who had a major impact on my life. I remember I had one professor in college who totally changed my worldview with just one class.
Wow.
One elective class that I took that just totally opened up my eyes to so much more, than what I knew at the time. So teachers can be so impactful in terms of, the lives of their students. So I cannot overstate the importance of a good teacher and how much value, as you would say, they add to the life. But in other words, based on what I was saying, they're helping to unlock or to unearth or to have the students understand the value that is within them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. All right. So we know that adding value is very important. And I posted that and I asked, how is it that you're adding value to someone? And someone's response was, is that something that we're supposed to do? Like, why am I doing that? Colette Brumfield, big up yourself. She said, hello, beautiful ladies. Happy Saturday from New York. All right, Miss New York.
Yes.
She is visiting from SC. And I'm going to say thank you for always supporting our show. Veronica Ellis, love you. I know you're going to be watching soon.
Yes.
And to Julie. Julie Bailey, thank you as well. And you guys can tell us?
Yes, to all the people who are going to be watching tomorrow, because I'm a little bit late on the posting, I'm a little bit late on the sharing, but big up to all of my family members. You know yourselves, the ones who are always watching, the ones who are always supporting. So just thank you guys for supporting the show, and thank you to all the regular people, Miss Claudette, who is usually on here, Auntie Veronica, and all the regular people who are supporting the Positive Forces show.
Yes. Positive Forces, we deal with positivity, Reggae Global Radio family. We love you absolutely. Viscosity Blend Radio, Zion Highness Radio, and You Choose Radio. We just absolutely are thankful that you carry our show each and every week.
Yes.
And big ups to you, DJ VJ Smiles.
Yes.
And man, I just want to say thank you. And we'll take a quick break and let you know that if you need any landscaping done to your home and you want to have some curb appeal, you have to call LMM Landscaping and just ask for Mr. Reggie. All right. His number is 404-246-9582. 404-246-9582. Give them a call. Let them know that you've heard about them from the Positive Forces show. All right. And if you want construction needs to your home, the exterior, the interior, you want to paint the house, you want to add anything to your home to make your home look just a little bit more appealing, call J&P Construction. Ask for Junior Williams at 678-927-6945. Again, 678-927-6945. Give them a call.
All right. Big up to the sponsors, to Mr. Reggie and to Junior. They do great work.
They do.
Yes.
Okay. Good energy.
Energy, high frequency, any that 528, 963, light up the sage, smelling like hickory, trying to heal scars, I got different type of injuries, all you think medicine, different type of remedies, human but I feel it
You
like.
know, we're talking about adding value to others. We have to make sure we're adding value to ourselves, because you have to be able to add value to yourself first before you can affect other people effectively, right? Because a lot of times, you know, you can talk to someone, and if you're not in the best emotional state, you can talk to somebody trying to help them with their issue, and when you finish that conversation, you are literally drained.
Yes.
Drained.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you're drained, and you're just like, oh my god, like why did I? And then you look back at the time, and especially if the person's viewpoint remains the same,
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying your best, and you're looking at different perspectives, and you're like, oh my god. But the key thing is you were there. The key thing is that you listened. The key thing is that, you know, now you're going to have to go and fill your own cup up again.
Yeah.
Pray, you know, take some time for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure that, you know, you are always in that space to be able to help, but know when to say no.
Right.
Right? What
You
you
have
think
to,
about that?
yes, you have to have some balance in there.
Mhm.
It's, one thing to be able to give to others and to help, but you
Mhm.
have to also take care of your own space and know what you can handle,
Mhm.
and know what, mentally you can handle, because there is this thing called transference and counter transference, where
Mhm.
sometimes people tend to kind of absorb people's situations,
Mhm.
more personally than they should.
Mhm.
So you have to do what it takes, on your end, to make sure that you are handling your own stress, handling your own emotions.
Mhm.
And a good way to do that is just to make sure you find something that you love to do, in terms of like a recreation activity. So,
Mhm.
or some form of exercise. Exercise does so much for the body and the mind. People underestimate the power of even taking a short walk. So just a 30-minute walk 3 times a week. You don't have to join a gym, nothing special, no heavy equipment, no heavy lifting. But just a 30-minute walk 3 times a week can do so much for your mental health,
Mhm.
in clearing your head, and your mental space. Your physical body as well, many, many benefits just to taking a short walk.
Mhm. That's true. Good. So short walk,
Yes.
diet, eating healthy.
Yes. Getting
Yeah,
rest. Getting
good.
rest. So
Exercise and
important.
sleep.
Yes.
Sleep is kind of tough for me.
But so important,
Yeah.
because your body basically repairs itself
Mhm.
during that time when you're sleeping. I mean, restful sleep, not just like napping,
Yeah.
but when you're into that deep REM stage of sleep and stuff like that, which is the REM sleep, your body rejuvenates itself.
Mhm.
Your cells tend to, do what they do.
Mhm.
So you need to have proper rest in order for your body and your mind to function properly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So a big part of your memory, because even your memories are created during sleep.
Sleep.
Yes.
Mhm.
Your
Mhm.
memories are solidified and all of that. So sleep is so important to your body and to your mind.
Mhm.
Yeah. So your rest is important. Your diet is important. Exercise, low stress, drinking your water, staying hydrated. All of those things are very important in
Mhm.
maintaining, a healthy body and a healthy mind.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How do you find the time to be able to do most of that with your schedule?
That's a
What do you
good
tell? What do you tell
question. That's a
somebody?
good question. I think, listen, you have to make time for what's important. You just have to make time. There's never going to be a good time to do anything. I've learned this a long time ago. If you want to pursue a career, if you want to go back to college, if you want, whatever it is, if you want to have a healthier mind, a healthier body, if you don't make the time, there's never going to be a good time for anything. So
Mm.
you have to carve out that space where you say before or after, whatever time works best for you, whether it's early morning, late at night. You have to carve out that time where you're going to say, I'm setting aside 30 minutes for my mental health. 30
Mm.
minutes. It doesn't have to be every day for the week, or 30 minutes for my physical health. You just have to create that time. You're never going to have time. You're going to have to make it.
Make that time.
Yep.
So they say 5 o'clock, and you can tell me if that's right or wrong. 5 o'clock is the best time to get up. So you make sure you get to sleep maybe 9:30, 10. But 5 o'clock is where you get the most boost energy for your buck. And when you get up at 5, you start your day, you take that 10, 15 minutes to pray, meditate, and then it's like I get up at 5.
Okay.
And I actually see the results.
Mhm.
By the time I get to work at 8:15,
Mhm.
it feels like I've already done half my day.
Yes.
My energy is up
Yeah.
and I'm ready to work,
Yeah.
as opposed to when I get up late and I'm rushing and I'm trying to get
Mhm.
everything done.
Mhm.
And I get to work and I'm like, oh God, I don't be here, you know? So I think it helps.
Yes, I definitely think 5 is a good hour if you get to bed early. But if you
Yeah,
don't
that's
get to bed early, 5 can be a struggle, right?
Yes.
So if you get to bed at a decent hour, say 10 o'clock, 5 is a good time to get up
Mhm.
and to get your day started. And I like what you said in terms of starting your day with prayer. Even if you don't pray, start your day with quiet time.
Mhm.
Start your day with the person who you consider to be your God or the person that you worship, right?
Yeah.
That's a good place to start because you want to make sure, today when I went to church, the speaker spoke about spiritual health. There's a big push now on physical health and mental health, especially post COVID.
Yeah.
So he was talking about the importance of spiritual health as well. So you have to devote some time to your spiritual health, or however you observe spirituality.
Mhm.
So spiritual health is important to start your day, to get yourself centered, and to understand how you're going to proceed with your day, to place your day in the person or in the entity or the God or the being that you consider to be supreme, right? So you want to place yourself, you get yourself ready for the day that way. And also, if you can, like you said, 5 o'clock, very good time for a walk. It's cool outside, the
Yeah.
air is fresh, everything
Yeah.
is good. If it's safe, it's
If
a
it's
good
safe.
time to do some exercise or do it in your house, right?
Mhm.
And then get your energy up.
Mhm.
By that time, you already completed 2 tasks. You
Yeah.
already did 2 things already for the day, right? You
Yeah.
make your bed, you completed 3. So you're off to a very good start. Before even 7 o'clock, you have gotten several things out of the way. So it's a good, at 5 a.m. is a good time. I feel like if I'm working on certain things, if I get up at 5 a.m., it's a good, my mind is sharp.
Yeah.
Mentally, I'm sharp at that time. I get up and I try to get those things done early in the morning. That's my sharpest time.
That's
Yeah.
good. And adding value to yourself is, making a list.
Yes.
Making a list is
Yes.
something that,
Yes.
and you're talking about that. Oh, I've done this, I've done that.
Yes.
Hey, I made my bed.
Yes.
I have prayed. Those 2 things, put those on your list. And then whatever it is that's most important for the day, that's what you do. I tend to, I'll have a list, a to-do list, and I tackle the easy stuff first and leave the hard stuff for the end.
Yeah.
And I've come to find out that's the wrong way to do it. It's better to, because if it's something is not that new to me, it's not something that I'm not very used to, and I tend to like wait, think it out, and try to do everything else, but I'm not productive with that thing that I need to get done. So now I try to make sure I get that heavy stuff done first,
Yes.
cross it off the list,
Yes.
and then knock out the easy stuff at the end.
That's a very good strategy, and I have to agree with you on that. I don't do it. I'm just telling you, I agree with you. Meaning that
I'm doing it.
there are certain
learning.
things, and
I'm
I
learning.
totally agree. There are certain things that I would put on my to-do list for the day,
Mhm.
and I will know that this thing is supposed to be a priority,
Mhm.
but because it's not the easiest, it
Mhm.
gets left until last. And
Yeah.
sometimes the day runs out and it gets pushed over until tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's just another way of procrastinating, believe it or not, because you have made a list to get the thing done, but you did not do the thing. So I think it's best, as you say, to look at those things that you're not really wanting to do, or the harder things or the bigger things, and knock them out early. And the things that are second nature, you can leave those until later, which I need to start working on doing just that.
Just
that.
It is something that I'm learning to do, and it's not the easiest thing, and but it's doable and it's
Yes.
rewarding.
Yes.
It's rewarding, and that
Absolutely.
helps with adding value to yourself, because now you can jump in at the heavy tasks, the things that you don't probably want to do, and get it done, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we talked, and accepting praise is another one. Adding value to yourself or adding value to others. Adding value to yourself and accepting praise. When someone gives you praise, a lot of times we tend to think, especially as Christians, we tend to think like, no, it's not me, it's God. Yes, we know it's God, but God has used you, right? And some people don't want it, and you kind of had a little bit of that earlier on.
I have a lot of that.
Yeah, you had a little
all
bit
the time.
Yeah,
not just earlier
you
on.
showed that
a
earlier
lot of
today.
that.
You showed that earlier today, and we want to be humble. We want to be but the Bible also says, "Give to Caesar what's due to Caesar." I'm not talking about monetary, but we're going to put it in this aspect, right? So I think that being able to accept it for yourself, it's going to be much easier for you to even be able to give it, and give it from a place of being genuine. Many people sometimes will just say things and they don't really mean it. And if you tell it to them, they're like, oh, no, 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 no. We need to be able to have the esteem of ourselves too. I mean, the Bible says, esteem the other better than yourself, but it also says better than yourself, meaning that yourself has to have some too.
Well, that's one way of looking at it. That's one way of looking at it. But I think that we as humans, we're very prone to becoming prideful. And I think that's the reason why God has cautioned us, to whatever we do to remain humble, and that whatever we do, we should give all glory to Him, right? Whether we eat or whether we drink, we should give God the glory.
Yes.
Because I know He knows our heart, He knows what we're made of, He knows what we have tendencies towards. So I think it's important because we know that God resists the proud, but He gives grace to the humble. So humility is always a trait that we want to exhibit, right? It's good when you do good things and people recognize it, that nothing is wrong with that. But you have to make a concerted effort, especially if you're doing well, right? Or you do a really good job, or make an effort. You have to make an effort sometimes to, as people would say, not allow it to get to your head, right? Because that's a tendency, it's a human tendency. So it's important for us to accept a compliment, be able to give a compliment, but also to be able to remain humble, no matter how well we do or how well we do something. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you can look at it as well, the more you hear it, the bigger your head gets. Or you can say, the more you hear it is the more I get more leveled. And I'm like, okay, I accept it. That my value is being seen.
Yes.
My worth is being seen. I appreciate that. I give all glory to God because it's because of God why I'm able to do it.
Yeah.
As you're doing things, as you're walking, and say you have an idea, and that idea keeps coming to your mind, and we know that God's planting something in you, and you're supposed to act on it, right? And you can say, yeah, I appreciate that, but if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't have the strength. You could always do that as well, but still accept that you've done something well, and move on.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Yeah. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself. Is another way to add value to yourself. And then once you're able to challenge yourself, you can be able to challenge others.
Yes.
Okay, so we're kind of doing twofold.
And in terms of challenging yourself, yes, I think that's a very good thing, because there are many of us who will never know our full potential because we never challenged ourselves to do more than what we're doing. So it's definitely important in terms of reaching your full potential, in terms of, just figuring out who you are, how far you can go. Sometimes you have to really challenge yourself in that sense, and in doing so, you will find that you're reaching new levels. And as you say that, as you just said, you're reaching new levels and you're adding value, or you're recognizing the value that was there, that you were just able to unearth, right? Right. Right.
When even with your studies, was it easy for you to say, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and be a doctor, or were you just like, hey, the challenges were there and you had to go through them, right? Like, did you feel like, hey, you were gonna quit at some point?
No, because how would I put it now? I guess with every stage, right, with every move, I kind of thought things through a little bit beforehand and say I wanted to get to this particular level, right? So at each step, I was very purposeful and intentional about being able to complete that step, right? So once I put my mind to something, even if it takes me a little bit longer than I planned or whatever it is, once I put my mind to it, I'm going to get there.
So that's like
you have to apply. Yes,
the to-do list. You did a to-do list pretty much.
Yes, but I mentally I have applied myself, meaning that I've made up my mind that this is my goal and I'm going to accomplish this goal. So I think once you get to that place where you know what your goal is, you're very clear about your goal, you're very clear about your intentions. Taking the first step is that the hardest part. But once you get that first step and you're in, you will get the thing done. You just have to be very intentional and very clear about what it is that you want to accomplish and what you want to achieve. Because even now I'm thinking about going back to school, but unless I have a very clear intention, like this is what I really want to do and I want to focus and I want to get this done. And until I get that, I don't see myself starting because I don't feel it right now. I have so many other things going on, right? So, but once I say, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to do this, I want to have a very clear intentional focus because I know once I start, I'm going to see it through to the end. Yeah. So as you
Once
said,
I start.
as you said, adding value to yourself in terms of what we're discussing today, going ahead and getting further in your education is one way of adding value.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about, in this society that we're living in now, in terms of monetary compensation for what you do and all of that, that's important as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you will get some financial value, some educational value, all this extra added value if you decide, to go on and pursue certain higher forms of or higher levels of education.
Yeah. And so many people think that they can't do it. So many people struggle with self-esteem issues. So many people just think that they just don't have the capability of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And you being a person, or anyone being a person that wants to add value, that's something you can target. You can tell someone, hey, okay, let's look at what we have.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at what you think you can do,
Yes.
and add value to them by encouraging them to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the skill set, the knowledge, the know-how, even know people that can help them with their journey, with what they want to go through, adding value to them would be doing that.
Yes.
Giving them those resources,
Yeah.
giving them the help that they need so that they can move forward.
As well as mentoring. So for those who are in their careers, and if there's someone who wants to go into the field, mentoring them is a very good way of helping them to get through the process and believe that they can succeed. There are many people who I have assisted in terms of nursing, whether it's giving them my old textbooks or helping them study for a test, or just giving them general information. So whatever field you're in, you can add value to someone in that sense, in terms of mentoring and helping those who are interested in coming into the field, giving them information, pointing them in the right direction, showing them, the right person. I remember when I started out in my field, many, many, many years ago, I was working with a patient as a home health aide. And I remember going to work one day and I met someone, and she said to me, I was telling her, this is what happened today with the patient, and this is what I did. And, I was giving her a report essentially, right? And she said to me, this is the most thorough report I've ever gotten, and you should go to nursing school. That was what she said to me. And at the time, she was in the nursing program. She was going to nursing school, finishing up her bachelor's degree. And it's a long story. I won't even share all of it. But she told me where to go. She said, go to this particular place and register, because I think you can do this.
Right.
And sure enough, I went there. I took the test. I got into the program. And I ended up meeting this person again in the future in another nursing program. How small is the world?
Yeah.
We ended up meeting again. And this time around, I was able to assist her
Look at that.
in the program. So you see where all of this started? This started way back when I was still in my late teens, working as a home health aide. So you see how you just never know how things will work out. Because she was the one who said to me, go to this particular place, this particular program. You can get in, you can do this. And I just took her advice just on that case, and the rest, as they say, is history. So you can mentor people, you can add value to people's lives in many, many different ways, even through a simple conversation. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yep.
How was she with taking the information and the help from you? Was she excited about it? Or was it like, who do you think you are?
I don't remember the specifics. It's been so long ago. But I remember, we met in a future nursing class, and I was able to offer some assistance. I do remember that, because, in my nursing program, I was like known for that. I was known for helping everybody. For some reason, it came pretty easy to me. And I was known for helping out most of my classmates in all the classes that we were taking. Actually, I almost got kicked out of the program for that. But it's a whole different story.
Oh my God.
But yes, those who know. If they're watching on Facebook, they know.
I think she's doing it again. I think you're doing it again. I think she is not trying to say, yes, I really, that person was showing some like bad fears.
No, she wasn't. She was very graceful. She was very graceful. We met again, and I was like, what are the odds? What are the chances? Like, you were the one who sent me in this direction, and we met again. So no, she was very graceful. She was very graceful, and I'm forever grateful to her. I won't say her name, but she knows herself.
Okay, give her a shout out.
Yes, I'm gonna shout her out. Her name is Bev. There are many Beverlys, so nobody will know who I'm talking about, but she will know herself if she sees this. Yes.
Beverly, kudos to you. Kudos to you.
Yes.
All right. So, we want to make sure that if you're struggling with low self-esteem, fix that low self-esteem, man, so that you can go ahead and help somebody else because they need you. People need you. You are placed on this earth for a purpose. And if you're still living, God has a purpose for you,
And
right?
you are valuable. Someone died for
Exactly.
you. Someone died for you.
Come
Consider
on.
that. Think about it. Someone died for you. How
Mhm.
valuable, do you have to be for someone to die for you?
Yeah.
It said scarcely, the scripture says, for a good man would someone die.
Mm.
Much less someone who you have no relationship with. So
Mhm.
you're valuable because the Lord died for you, even when you didn't even if you didn't, or you don't, or you never did have a relationship with Him.
Mhm.
He died for you, so you are valuable. Remember that. So there's not even a reason, really and truly, for low self-esteem to exist, except because of lies and deception that the evil one, presents to us.
Mhm.
Because if we really understood who we were created by and who we were created to be,
Mhm.
children of the Most High,
Mhm.
right? And the Most High is the person who created all things that we see and those
Right.
things that we can't even see. And
Yes.
just sit outside in nature. Just
Mhm.
look outside your window and take a look at the highest clouds and the highest trees and the sky and all that you can see
Yeah.
with your visual, your naked eye, and consider
Mhm.
that the maker of all those things is your Father, and He made you.
Mhm.
And He made you for a reason. He made you special. He made you for a purpose. So consider all of those things and understand your value, that you are really and truly, princes and princesses and heirs of the Most High of the kingdom.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Your internal your thoughts, your internal minds, whatever it is that you're going through internally, that must be addressed. You have to find somebody that you can talk to. All
Yes.
right? Because if you're going to be able to impact the world, impact your family, impact the people around you, your community, you have to be able to be in the space to do that and not hide behind the deeds and the things that you do, but truly take the time to self assess, truly take the time to be self aware
Mhm.
and tackle the things that you are going through as well. Confront the internal contradictions that you might have. All right. The things that you tell yourself, no, I can't do it. I just can't. Why? Find the root cause of what caused you or what's allowing you to believe that lie about yourself. And once you figure out what the root cause is, and it might take you delving into some deep, dark places in your life, going back into even childhood to figure out what placed or what caused, what changed my mind, what made heavy the things inside of me that needs to be light. There is always something that triggered it or that started it. So being able to go back in and find it is very, very important. Talking about it can be one thing that can help you to kind of trigger the process and the steps of what might have happened. Because if it's something that came from when you were younger or a child, you know, it might be in a long term memory hidden somewhere
Mhm.
and you just don't know. You just can't put your finger on it. But when we exercise our memory and go back in and get a therapist, pray about it, ask God to bring it back to recollection, you then be able to start tackling the things that needs to be dealt with.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that also ties into what you're talking about in terms of adding value to yourself, because that's some self work.
Hmm.
That's some internal work that you would have to do,
Hmm.
to be able to be the best version of yourself so that you can impact your
Hmm.
circle of influence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The internal is very important, and that's the thing that whatever you go through, you can always. It's never for you. The things I've gone through is never for me. It's always to be able to help somebody in that time. And once you're able to do that, you can kick out of that mode and be able to help somebody else and tell them the steps, the things that you went through, the drawbacks, and then just kind of help them through to say, okay, well, if you identify, you see this thing coming, or you start to feel this way, it's just like if an addict wants to remain sober
Mhm.
and maintain sobriety, you don't go to a pub. You don't go to a
Right.
club. You don't
Right,
go to
right.
the
Yeah.
people, places, and things. You don't hang out with them
Mhm.
and go into the areas that's gonna cause you to want to say, hey, you know
Right.
what?
To
Forget
trigger
about
you,
this.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it's gonna trigger your things. So you want to make sure that you got to pull from the places and the people that can help you to be able to make you uh, maintain what you have and then build upon what you have.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. I agree with you on that. In
Mhm.
terms of doing that, sometimes difficult, sometimes hard work that it will take for you to be able to, add value, as you said, to yourself, or to, as I said earlier, to recognize the value that is within, right? To be able
Mhm.
to unearth that internal value
Mhm.
that you may not even know existed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Act of kindness. That's also another thing. Like that lady Beverly that we shouted
Yes,
out, she
yes.
was, acting as, but probably maybe an angel at the time, or
Hmm.
just being used by God to show you the path and kind of
Hmm.
steer you into where you need to go in your
Yes,
pathway.
yes.
So being kind to somebody
Hmm.
and loving on people. The Bible tells us we have to love people.
Hmm.
Love your neighbors as you do yourself. So you
Yes,
have to be able to do that. Even though you
yes.
may not like the person right now, we still have to show God's love,
Hmm.
right?
And also, what I want to pick up on that too, in terms of the story I shared with Beverly, is that she saw something in me just based on the conversation.
Mhm.
And it's important that when we see something in someone, even especially a young person,
Mhm.
that you're able to encourage that thing,
Yeah.
right? Because sometimes they don't even know what that thing is that they have in themselves.
Sure.
But you being on the outside looking in, you recognize that there is something about this person, whether it's how they speak or whatever it may be. Just like you talked about your mentor in radio, someone who encouraged you and said, "Do this because I think you have the talent to do this."
Yeah.
So there are some people who, by adding value, they simply recognize something that is in someone and be able to encourage the person in that way, or encourage the person to do and pursue that thing. So that's important too in terms of adding value or unearthing value, recognizing the value that a person has, or the skill or the talent, or the skill set, whatever it may be, and saying to them, this is something that you should pursue because I see that you have a natural gift, or an ability or an affinity towards this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Ditto. And giving to charity. Giving to charity is also another act of kindness.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure if there is an elderly, help them with groceries weekly, monthly, taking maybe their list and going to the supermarket for them and shopping for doing their groceries for them, or taking them, driving them to the supermarket. That's an act of kindness.
Yes.
Give it to charity, give it to an organization that is in need, that is doing things for the community. That's also an act of kindness. You always want to be able to add value when when you are in the presence of someone. They should be able to, when they leave from your presence, they should be able to say it was good to be with you
Yes.
somehow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, somehow.
Absolutely. So all those things, kind of wrap together very nicely in terms of, loving your neighbor, as Kimone said, as yourself, right?
Mhm.
And we know that love is not just saying that we love. Love is actually a verb, it's an action, it's doing something, right? It's seeing a need and being able to act on that, right? Being able to impact the person by seeing what it is that they need and looking at ways that you can help, whether it's by kindness, even a simple thing as courtesy, as being courteous, as even an act, of kindness in and of itself.
Yeah.
So helping someone wherever they have a need, looking to see what the needs are and trying to be able to fill those needs.
Mhm.
All of that, as you say, is adding value to that person.
Mhm.
So that's important as well. So giving acts of kindness, being courteous, just showing love, showing love to your neighbor, right? Treating someone how you would want to be treated.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that, as you said, when people are around you and they're no longer in your presence, they will feel like, yes, I gained something from that interaction because
Yeah.
you're actually showing them love and kindness, and
Mhm.
you're treating them as you want to be treated.
That's right. Being hospitable,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. You know, we were having a conversation about that, my husband and myself, and we were talking about talents versus gifts and so on. And we were talking about the fact that some people feel like gifts are like some, exorbitant thing that you have, meaning that you have to be able to preach or teach or be an apostle or be a great public speaker. And we were saying that something as simple as being hospitable is a gift.
Yeah.
Kindness is a gift.
Mhm.
Those things that we tend to overlook. If you have someone who is every week they're going to be inviting someone home for lunch, that's a gift, because not everyone is going to do that. You know what I'm saying? So if you have someone who's hospitable enough where every week they're going to prepare a little bit extra because they want to have that person who doesn't have a family, or they want to have that person who is new, or they want to have that person who is by themselves, to invite them over. That's a
Mhm.
whole gift unto itself.
Mhm.
The gift of being hospitable,
Mhm.
the gift of being courteous, the gift of being kind.
Yeah.
All of those things are, God given gifts.
Mhm. And it spills over into the fruits of the spirit.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
easy to like confuse them, but they all come together.
Yes.
They all come together.
Yes.
They all come together. Yeah. So use your and that was one of our the points. Use your talents and your gifts to be able to help somebody.
Yes.
You know, and yes, it is important. I mean, when you are here on earth, and when we all come and we all have to go. What is it that people will write about you for the eulogy? Will they look back and say, this person was was very kind-hearted, loving, try to help, very helpful? Or would it be, crickets and silence and let's skip over that part and just go into the singing? Because we don't want anybody to say anything right now. Let's leave that
No
maybe
open
for
mics,
later.
no tributes.
No tributes, no open mic. We only got an hour, and we gotta leave. So we want to make sure that you're adding value to people, and you know what, Kanye West, he said that he doesn't want to be remembered when he leaves. He doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about being remembered. He said, "Who made the stop light? Who started the stop sign?" He said a lot of things that we just take for granted. People don't really remember the who, but they just know that they're able to use it. And his thing was, you know what? I want people to enjoy the culture that he's bringing. And he said a lot of people don't pretty much accept the way he introduces Jesus, and we can always talk about that.
Right.
But the point still is that he still accepted Christ, and the things that he does might be controversial to the standard way of Christianity, but hey, but that was one of the things that he said, that he doesn't have to be remembered as long as he did something to be a part. You might be like, oh, somebody helped me the other day. As long as that remembrance of the somebody helped me with this, that was his takeaway. Like that, what the act of kindness was most important to him.
All right, that sounds fair.
Yeah.
Sounds fair enough. But I would just say, how do you want to be famous and not be remembered? But that's a whole different conversation in and of itself. But in truth and in fact, as you said, it's important to add value or help people to unearth or to understand the innate value that is found within them, right? And we can do that in our circle of influence, by the way we treat others, by the way we relate to others, by the way we just the way we speak, the way we're able to, help people to understand like what their strengths are, help to bring out those strengths, and to help them to be able to just build their life, as you said. And like, even as I mentioned before, with the person who pointed me in that direction, it has been over 20 years, but I still remember it, like it was yesterday. So that person definitely impacted my life. So in many ways we can have positive impacts on people's life just by the way we relate to them, by the way, as you said, by the way we add value, by the way that we help them to understand their innate value and the value that the Lord has placed within them even when he created them.
All right. Yeah. It's time for our final thoughts.
Yes. I'm gonna defer to you first, and then I'll add
You wanna okay.
Yes.
Well, we want to make sure that Everything that we do, we are doing it to make sure God gets the glory. Everything. And our lives should be so where our pathway, everything we do, it's the trajectory of of your way of life is through your values, right? Everything that you do is because of your values. Where are you getting your values from? If you're getting your values from, your church, the Bible, that's a great place to get it. And knowing that you are using that to steer where you're going is going to be helpful. So if you're reading the Bible will tell you about, you know, being kind. The Bible will tell you about loving others more than you even love yourself. And it gives you all these great principles to get you get you going. And it is important to add value to others, just like it's important to make sure your cup is full and you're able to run over. Ask God to let the blessings run over so you can be that blessing to someone else. Love God always. Love, love, love God. Make sure that you're taking the time. Breathe. Take 10, 15 minutes, 6 seconds to just stop and breathe and be thankful every day and continue your best to impart knowledge, impart your kindness, impart your hospitality, do good things for your body. Make sure you're doing that so you can help somebody else.
Yes, that's a very great final thought. And just to add briefly to what you said, love God and love your neighbor as yourself. Those are the two great commandments, right? And the both of them are centered on love. Love for God will help you to live in a way that will help you to love your neighbor, right? Because if you're following the teachings that God has set forth for us in His Word, you will love Him, you will obey Him, and by in doing so, and by doing so, you will love your neighbor by extension. And in loving your neighbor, you will be adding value to them because you will do those things that are helpful. You will do those things that are beneficial. You will do, as the Bible says, love does no harm to your neighbor. So essentially, you will not operate in a way that will be doing harm to anyone. You will be operating in a way where you'll be adding value to them, or you're being beneficial and helpful to their life and to their existence. So if we love God, we love our neighbor as ourselves, then automatically by default we'll be adding value to others and to ourselves as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's the Positive Forces
Yes,
show, y'all.
yes, yes. More peace, more love, more light. That's good. That's good.
I can hide your light cause it feels more right. Tell me what's wrong from right. It's all connected energy can never die. One in the dark, but I told her need a light. They gave me money, I got out your evil light. Where's the advice? Bitch, don't kill my vibe. No more depression, please don't kill my pride. You know the religion, I'm catching them green